to him because it was so fun when I watched him on the show. And it's about laughing. It's about laughing and loving, and that's what Bob and Dave and John and Lori, like that's what they cultivated on that show. And on every movie that I do, on every production I produce, that is always what I want everyone to feel.
What do you think Bob would say, like if he's looking down and watching you? You say you were out so fast, but you did it, right? You sing way better than I ever could. So
I honestly, like, I was just proud of myself. I was proud that I did it. I sang in front of people and I'm still standing. Like, that's my takeaway. And I think Bob would have said, like, you were robbed, you were great, you should have stayed on longer, I should have stayed on longer. Like, Bob would have just made jokes about it, but in an encouraging way.
well, look, The Masked Singer isn't your first time on reality TV. Dancing with the Stars, you say that you did not finish early. You made it all the way to basically the end. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, that was crazy. I again had no dance training on that one, but it was, the difference in doing The Masked Singer and Dancing with the Stars is, like, I did make it to the end. I came in third. I made it to the finals, and you had this arc and the longevity of that show. So I really grew every, like, week to week to keep going. It was a true journey for me, and I grew so much. And because it was a positive experience too, that's also why I'm like, okay, I can do The Masked Singer. I never thought I'd win The Masked Singer. I was just hoping I'd maybe go 2 rounds, and this one was one and done. So it was a little disappointing in that sense, but it gave me a real understanding of, like, this is reality television. It's just to entertain the audience. It's a big guessing game. Go have fun. Just, let it all go.
What was harder, The Masked Singer or Dancing with the Stars?
Um, Nerves wise, probably The Masked Singer. I was even more fearful to sing than I was to dance.
Wow. Would you do it again if you could?
Yeah, I would. Like redemption, man. I just want some redemption.
Right. Well, one of your jobs was being on The View. You were a co-host for 2 seasons. Look, every year, I mean, well, not every year, but there's obviously, oh, it's a liberal show, and obviously they always have like a more conservative co-host, which was you. I mean, obviously that was the role you were filling. So you knew that going in, like, did you want to do that job? Because I mean, that is a job that you're signing up for, where your view is first of all going to be criticized by a lot of people. It's going to be different than most of your co-stars. Were you just dying to be on The View?
No, I feel like I do all these things that I don't really want to do. And again, it's just like when doors open that are out of your comfort zone, I always feel like there's a reason why I should walk through it because it's going to grow me in some way. And that was the case with The View. However, on The View, they were telling us it wasn't going to be as political when they started that season. And like Raven Simone, who was a co-host at the time, we were co-hosts together, like she said the same thing. They sold it to us as being a bit more like social that year and pop culture, and then it went real political, like even more, so we were a little bit duped.
It went real political. I mean, listen, if anyone that has an opinion on anything in today's day and age, they're criticized. Like, I've had other co-hosts of The View on this show here. Like, did you go down that road of like reading the public comments? It's not towards you, it's just towards everyone. Did you get into that? Because it's a dark road to go down, right?
So dark. Of course, I read the comments. I wouldn't respond to them, but yeah, they're pretty mean and pretty awful. But I always think that as much as they can be terrible to read, it gives you an understanding of the audience feedback and what people are thinking. And so, yeah, it was a bit disheartening to read them. I'd have to read them like in just little bit at a time and not go too deep because, the first 20 kind of would tell me everything.
Right. You're like, that's enough. Well, listen, Masked Singer was reality TV, Dancing with the Stars. Going into The View, it's like I said, it's a job where you're going to disagree with people. Another show I think of that is in that category is Real Housewives. Like, we've had so many actresses on Real Housewives. We have Garcelle Bouvet on there now. We've had Lisa Rinna, Denise Richards. Have you ever been asked to be on Real Housewives?
I've never been asked, and I've never seen an episode of any of them. So I don't even know what I know. Obviously, I know everyone because they're pop culture people, so I know all their names. But I've never watched that show. But no, never been asked. I'd probably be a really boring housewife.
I was going to say, would you ever consider it? You know, you seem to be pushed into these things. You didn't want to do the Masked Singer, but here you are, and you did entertain us.
I don't know. Who knows? Never say never. I feel like I'd rather be on like Big Brother or something like that, Celebrity Edition. That might be fun.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you almost broke the internet in 2015 when Fuller House came back. I have to tell you, I was beside myself that we were going to see a grown-up DJ Tanner and everyone else. Are we done with this? I mean, is there any world that we live in where there can be another incarnation of Fuller House?
I don't think there is that world. If there was, I think everyone would do it, like for sure. I certainly would. But things are. It was like the dynamic between Netflix and Warner Brothers, and then even our creator and showrunner Jeff Franklin. Like, there's all these weird dynamics that are behind the scenes stuff that I don't know that they would all agree to get another iteration going.
That makes sense. I mean, it would be a great tribute probably to Bob, though, to like have you guys all together. And sometimes, like when someone passes, to be all together and back in that setting.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like, we've discussed it before on how we would do it in a way that would honor Bob, because you can never forget Bob. And Bob, I mean, Bob was the patriarch of the show. He was the dad for all of us, and he was America's dad. So we talked about ways in doing that, but I think we all kind of realized between network stuff, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Well, I'll just keep my fingers crossed, but I know how it works. Do you think, and then I have another question about the Masked Singer. Do you think, like, look, Mary Kate and Ashley, they were 1 year old when they started. There was so much controversy that they weren't going to be in Fuller House just because the fans really want. Do you think they get, like, unnecessarily criticized for that? I mean, The Row is $1 billion business.
Totally, totally. Yes, it's like when you have it. I don't think it was a diss to any of us, like not at all. They haven't acted since they were teenagers, and they have $1 billion empire. So if you break it down, it's like, yeah, that's okay that they said no and didn't want to be a part of it. It really was okay.
When you sang Let's Get It Loud, like what do you listen to on your iPod, and what's in your shuffle these days for music when you're not on the Masked Singer?
Um, I kind of have John Mayer on repeat, and it's like it's all the same albums. I mean, I have all the new albums,